Good evening. The City Council will convene on Thursday, August 24th, 2023, to hold a regularly scheduled meeting at 7:30 p.m. For the purposes of discussing any and all business via in-person and remote participation in accordance with Chapter 40A of the Massachusetts General Law. Remote participation is allowed in accordance with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, signed into law by Governor Healy on March 29th, 2023, suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law 30A, Section 18. Alternative public access to this meeting shall be provided in the following manner. 1, the meeting will be televised via Peabody Access Television. 2, real-time public comments during public hearings can be addressed to the Peabody City Council utilizing the Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. This application will allow users to view the meeting and make comment or question to the chair via the audio option. Please join me in a moment of silence. And the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilors, you heard the motion from Councilor Gould. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, I'd like to accept item 7E, which is appointments from His Honor the Mayor, as two of the appointees are here tonight, Mr. Politz and Mr. Titlebaum.
Thank you, Councilor Peach. Councilors, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Ms. O'Donnell.
Good evening, councilors. I'm Beth O'Donnell, the Director of Human Resources. Mayor Betancourt is unavailable to be here this evening. I'm here on the mayor's behalf on a number of his reappointments and appointments to several key city positions. In your packet, you have a list of these. As for new appointments, Mayor Betancourt has included the appointment of Fire Chief Jay Dowling as the Director of Emergency Management. As the mayor has stated at previous meetings, it is his sincere belief that the city's fire chief should be the city's emergency management director. Also before you this evening is the mayor's appointment of William Politz to the position of Public Services Director. Mr. Politz has been the interim Public Services Director for several months after Director Labossiere left Peabody employment. I think you all know Will from his many years of excellent service with the city. Will has been a city engineer in our Public Services Department since 2009. He has worked on and managed countless large projects in the city throughout those years. Will has extensive experience working with all of our city departments, boards, and commissions. Will is a registered professional engineer and holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering from UMass Lowell. You have Mr. Politz's resume before you this evening, which outlines a number of his skills and key accomplishments. And he is here tonight to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. President, move to receive late communication 1.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Councilors, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Mr. Politz.
Good evening. As all of you know, Will Politz, Interim Director of Public Services, and I look forward this evening to move forward as being the permanent director for the department.
Thank you, Mr. Politz. Yes, Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've known Will since I started on the council back in 2012, and he's been nothing but positive and upbeat about projects and problems and always willing to lend a hand, and he enjoys coming to work every day. I've got that opinion of him, and it hasn't wavered. So I'd like to move with approval of the Public Service Director, Mr. William Politz, for a recommendation of the mayor. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Any other councilors have a comment? Yes, Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just kind of reinforce what Councilor Gould said. I've worked for many years with Mr. Politz. Outstanding individual, highly qualified, extremely competent, and I was curious to see how it would go through this interim period because he was moving more into a managerial role. He really did that with ease, I thought. And again, I wish him nothing but the best of luck in this position now permanently. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Council. Excuse me, Councilor McGinn. Councilor Rossignol, then Councilor Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to echo the comments of my colleagues. Mr. Pollitt, since you've stepped into the interim role, you've been nothing but professional. You've handled the duties of the Public Service Director immensely. We've had a couple of conversations about a couple of issues, and I look forward to working with you in the future. So thank you.
Councilor Gamache.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. And I, too, echo the other councilors' comments. I've had the privilege of working in the same office as Will when I was over in facilities. I will say that Will is probably one of the more thorough engineers that we have. Always in his office. Sometimes his desk reminds me of Dan Doucette's. He's got stuff all over the place, and you never know where it's going to go. But he always did a great job. He was always attentive. He always was willing to express his concerns and issues with not only me, but other members of the staff. And I will say that I have spoken to some of the employees at DPS, whether it be that no matter where they are in DPS, they're very happy that Will is here. And they can relate to him. They know how he works. They know his understanding. And I wholeheartedly am happy that Will is now the Director of Public Services. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. I generally, after hearing everybody speak, I don't like to pile on, but I think it's a testament to what Will's done for this city that I think, you know, I had to say something. You know, as a new councilor 8 years ago, Will was the engineer, and with new projects and things coming forward, if you didn't know the answer, you got back to us right away, and that still happens today. So I was very happy to hear your name put forward for this position, other than the fact that we lost a good city engineer, and I hope we could even get somebody half as good in your place. But I wish you best of luck with the position, and obviously I support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have worked with Mr. Pollitt for a number of years in a variety of capacities, and he's always been very professional and responsive, and I can say from the business community, attorneys, contractors, developers, they wish that the city of Peabody had 3 more Will Pollitts on the payroll. So this is great for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Daigle. Any other councilors? Well, I'd just like to add, Will, I really appreciate how responsive you are. I know it's a big city and there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed, and as many of the other councilors have already stated, you get back to people in a very reasonable time, and even if you don't have the answer, you have some sort of guidance. So thank you for your continued service. I feel we're very fortunate as a city to have you in this role. So thank you. And with that, we'll go back to Councilor Gould's motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Peach,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
Rossignol,
Yes.
Gamache, Melville,
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and thank you, councilors. I appreciate it.
Ms. O'Donnell?
Thank you. Next before you this evening is the mayor's appointment of Ross Teitelbaum to the position of treasurer. Mr. Teitelbaum is also known to many of you as he is a Peabody resident who began his career here at City Hall, working summers in the mayor's office and later in a temporary role in the treasurer's office. Ross holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration with a major in accounting, and holds a master's degree in accountancy, both from Western New England University's College of Business. Ross has several years of finance and accounting experience at the firm PricewaterhouseCoopers and has worked as an accounting manager and senior accountant at several small businesses. If you don't know Ross from his time working here at City Hall, you may know him from his extensive community work and his volunteering at Peabody events, large and small. You have Mr. Teitelbaum's resume before you this evening, and he is also here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Ms. O'Donnell. Mr. Teitelbaum?
Hello, my name is Ross Teitelbaum. I'm here for become the treasurer. As Beth said, I've done a lot of stuff with the city. Look forward to doing more with the city and being involved in other events as well.
Thank you, Mr. Teitelbaum. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ross and I have both experience in the mayor's office as interns, and we have long debated who's been the longest intern at City Hall. And you'd think I would concede to that tonight, but I'm not going to. But what I will say is I've worked with Ross professionally, and he's always kept in touch with the treasurer's office. I've worked with him as a friend. I know his experience. He's traveled the world with his accounting background. And we're very lucky that he's landed back in Peabody, and he is the kind of person that I have called at 10 o'clock at night and other times, and he will step up and help, whether it's work-related or anything else. So I think, I don't know that we could find a more qualified person, so I think this is a big win for the city and something we should be proud of. So welcome, Ross.
Thank you, Councilor Daigle. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just very brief, Ross, we're glad to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilor Melville.
Thank you very much. I was thrilled to hear that Ross was going to be appointed to this position. I think you're qualified. I think you'll do a great job, and we're lucky to have you. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Melville. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly, I've known Ross and his family for quite a while. His family and himself are always very involved and willing to give to the community. I think those are the kind of people that we strive to fill the positions in City Hall. I'm happy to have you on board, Ross. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Peach. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. I won't belabor the point. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rossignol. And I'll just add, everyone else has already said it, but we're so grateful to have a very well-qualified individual in this role. I actually didn't know as much of your accounting background as just seeing you at every ward event and I think you were doing parking at the fireworks, so thank you very much for all your continued service to Peabody, and we're very happy to have you in this role. With that, could I get a motion? Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion to approve the appointment of Ross Teitelbaum to the treasurer, term expiring 12/31/24. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Rossignol. Councilors, you've heard the motion from Councilor Rossignol. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Peach,
Yes.
Gould, Rossignol,
Yes.
Gamache, Melville,
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Welton. Motion carries 10-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, would you like us to clean up and...
Yes, Councilor Gould.
On the recommendation of the mayor, I'd like to move to have Teresa Reed reappointed to and Board of Assessor to a 3-year term. Susan Antonellis, Board of Assessor, also for 3-year term. Joel Brenner, Community Preservation Commission, alternate, as a 2-year term. We spoke about Chief Dowling, Emergency Management Director, through a 3-year term, as we said, and Sharon Cameron as Human Service Director to a 1-year term. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilors, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just regarding the appointment of Joel Brenner for Community Preservation Commission, that's also a new appointment. I spoke to Joel earlier today. Unfortunately, he had some family from out of the country visiting, and he did not want to leave them for the evening. So with that being said, Joel has been at the last 4 or 5 or 6 community preservation meetings. He's ready to go. He's full steam ahead on that. So I welcome his addition to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur with Councilor Turco with respect to Mr. Brenner. He's been very engaged with the CPC, and I think he's an excellent candidate. I'm glad to see that he's been nominated by the mayor. Happy to support that this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Any other councilors? I'd just like to once again add, both on behalf of Mr. Brenner and all of the other candidates this evening, we're very fortunate to have such qualified people as appointees, so very excited to welcome them all. Thank you all. Moving on to, oh, excuse me, we need a roll call for that. Roll call.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould. Rozignol.
Yes.
Gamache. Melville.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you, and thank you for taking this out of order.
Thank you, Ms. O'Donnell. Okay, moving on to public hearings. Item 4A, entertainment license for Granite Coast Brewing. Would the petitioner please approach the podium while the clerk reads the notice?
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, August 24th, 2023, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the application from Granite Coast Brewing Company, 77B Main Street, Peabody, Mass., requesting an entertainment license for the use of non-live entertainment, specifically television and radio, and live entertainment, specifically live music, social entertainment, and comedy acts, at said 70B Main Street, Peabody, Mass. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under Calendar on the homepage or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Craig S. Welton, City Council President.
Thank you, Clerk Danforth. Would the petitioner please provide your name and tell us what you'd like to do?
Jeffrey David Marquis. We're looking to get an entertainment license to improve the 77B Main Street.
Thank you, Jeff. Councilor McGinn.
Do you want to go?
My apologies, it's been a little rusty since we last met, so I apologize. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone on Zoom who'd like to speak in favor of the petition? Seeing none. Anyone here who'd like to speak in opposition to the petition? Anyone on Zoom who'd like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think Mr. Marquis and his partner, Mr. Dunn, have done a really nice job at Granite Coast since opening in 2019. I think just about everybody on the council has been there at some point and seen kind of firsthand the operation they're running, which has been a great add downtown. And I've reviewed this application with the applicant. They are very aware of the residents living upstairs and in the area, and they've taken steps to mitigate the transmission of sound using with the materials they've used in the ceiling of their building and so forth when they did their build out. I'm only aware of one noise complaint that's happened, and that was way back early on. Nothing recently at all, and again, that was an outside thing. This is inside. So I have real confidence that if noise does become a problem for the abutters, Mr. Marquis and Mr. Dunn will take measures to address that. They're very on top of things. They're very responsive, and again, I think they're doing a great job down there. So I am supportive of the applications with the hours requested, and I'd open it up to other councils at this time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Are there any other councilors? Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say that I support this. I agree with Councilor McGinn. Jeff and Rob run a tremendous business down there, and you know, through COVID, there was some struggles, and I believe, you know, still struggles with a lot of businesses to get through this. This is a piece that they need to help them move forward. I'm glad that they were able to fight and make it through, because they've become pretty much one of the mainstays in Peabody Square that people talk about, and I'm glad to have them there. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to echo exactly what Councilor Turco said. I welcome this, and I think this is a great addition, and I can't wait to go down there. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rosendahl. Any other councilors? I'd just like to add similar sentiments. I think the fact that you've invested into downtown Peabody during such an uncertain time, and you, Jeff and Rob, have have chosen to, as Councilor Turco said, make it a mainstay on Peabody Main Street. We really appreciate it. So, Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I can't resist. Councilor Turco brought up COVID, and so it's probably a good opportunity to mention that when they were pivoting their business to some online opportunities there, they did some online trivia competitions. One had to do with Peabody history, and I just wanted to point out, because Councilor O'Neill is still a little upset about the fact that our team pummeled their team in the online competition. So I just maybe thought that would be important to add to the record. So I'd move at this point, Mr. President, to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. You've heard the motion from Councilor McGinn. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve the application from Granite Coast Brewing Company, 77B Main Street, Peabody, Mass., requesting an entertainment license for the use of non-live entertainment, specifically television and radio, and live entertainment, specifically live music, social entertainment, and comedy acts at said 77B Main Street, Peabody, Mass. Hours of non-live entertainment, 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Sunday, or as otherwise stipulated in a Sunday license to be obtained from the mayor's office. Hours of live entertainment, non-amplified live entertainment, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. Thursday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday, or as otherwise stipulated in a Sunday license to be obtained from the mayor's office. Amplified live entertainment with up to 2 amplifiers, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Tuesday to Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. Thursday to Saturday, and 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sunday, or as otherwise stipulated in a Sunday license to be obtained from the mayor's office. Owners will make ongoing reasonable efforts to prevent noise from becoming disruptive to residential abutters. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Councilors, you've heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Peach,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
Rozignol,
Yes.
Gamache, Melville,
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, councilors. Moving on to item 4B. If you could just hold a moment for the clerk. Now moving on to item 4B, a junk dealer's license for Salem Mission Incorporated, doing business as Lifebridge North Shore. The clerk will now read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, August 24th, 2023, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom, on the application from Salem Mission, Inc., DBA Lifebridge North Shore, 23 Old County Road, Peabody, Mass., requesting a junk dealer's license at said 23 Old County Road, also known as 58R Pulaski Street, Peabody, Mass. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under Calendar on the homepage or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Craig S. Welton, City Council President.
Thank you, Clerk Danforth. Would the petitioners please state your name and the address of the business and what you'd like to do?
Hi, my name is Peter Hearn. I'm a development manager for Lifebridge North Shore. We will be trying to acquire a junk license for the property at 58 Rear Pulaski Street. This is Melissa Lynch, development director and communication relations. I'm so sorry. This is Melissa Lynch. She is director of development and external communications for Lifebridge as well. I think we'll take a moment to just say a little bit about Lifebridge.
Lifebridge North Shore is an organization that has been headquartered in Salem and has been around for over 30 years. Our mission is to help homeless individuals and the underserved. We have locations in Salem, Beverly, and Gloucester, And the work of our shop is as a revenue stream for us as a 501c3, as well as outreach to the vulnerable individuals that we serve. So anyone who come to our shop to get anything that they need as well.
Thank you, Ms. Lynch. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone on Zoom would like to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone here would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Anyone on Zoom would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had the opportunity to meet with the applicants before they even submitted their application, which was a nice change. It was nice to meet Peter, and Melissa is actually one of my neighbors in Ward 3. So it was great to make that connection with a Ward 3 resident, someone of the neighborhood, but also bringing a great business to Ward 3 and an unused building currently in the industrial park back there. This is a beautiful building. It was recently renovated. Some of you may remember an application to change zoning to make this banquet hall type thing. I think this is a much better use for the area. Their plans are fantastic. There was a restore that was on the same property, different building, but same property. The special permit was transferred to allow this to continue with this charity work here. I'm very excited. Can't wait for your opening this fall. So I'll turn it over to the fellow councilors.
Thank you, Councilor Peach. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thrilled to have you. Thank you for doing what work you do, and very, very appreciative of your mission. Just keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Any other councilors? I'd also just like to add, it's a great organization. We're thrilled that this is going to be serving the community and not a nightclub. I think we're kind of all in favor of that. I've known Melissa for a number of years, and I have no doubt that her team is going to do a wonderful job with this, and we're very appreciative that you've chosen Peabody to call home for this endeavor. So thank you very much. With that, Councilor Peach.
Thank you. Move to close the public hearing.
Councilors, you heard the motion from Councilor Peach. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to move to approve the junk dealer's license for Salem Mission, Inc., doing business as Lifebridge North Shore, 23 Old Country Road, Peabody, Mass., AKA 58 Rear Pulaski Street, Peabody, Mass., with the one condition from the Health Department that the holder must have policies and procedures in place to ensure no after-hours dumping, and they must have an IPM plan for the facility, and have procedures in place to ensure items received and sold are sanitary condition and no resale of mattresses. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Peach. Councilors, you heard the motion from Councilor Peach. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco. Yes. Daigle.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you, councilors. Moving on to item 4C, a special permit for Dean J. Collins, 258 Newbury Street, Unit B, regarding automotive sales in a BR1 zoning district. The clerk will now read the notice.
Notice hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as the special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, August 24th, 2023, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the application from Dean J. Collins, 18 Olson Road, Peabody, Mass., for a special permit to allow for automotive sales in a BR1 zoning district at 258 Newbury Street, Unit B, Peabody, Mass., is filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under calendar on the homepage, or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Craig S. Welton, City Council President.
Thank you, Clerk Danforth. Would the petitioner introduce yourself and provide your address and let us know what you'd like to do, please?
Hi, I'm Dean Collins, 18 Olson Road, Peabody, and I'm here to apply for a special permit.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor for this petition? Anyone on Zoom would like to speak in favor? Seeing none. Anyone here who'd like to speak in opposition? Anyone on Zoom in opposition? Seeing none, Councilor Gamache.
Yes, thank you. And how you doing, Dean? I think I was 20 years ago when I was on the council and gave you your first license.
Long time no see.
For those of you who don't know Dean, he's been in business in the city for 20-plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done a very good job. He's run a very reputable and clean business. And this is a permit to allow for him just to locate there, and the next special permit hearing will be to grant him the license. So with that being said, if there's no questions from the city councilors, I would move to close the public hearing.
Any other? Yes, Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Councilor Gamache. So the attached licenses for 222 now Newbury, that's just in there because that's where it was?
Correct.
Okay, so the 25-car limit in the 222 has no bearing on this site?
No, it doesn't.
This site, the plan is for 50 cars, so, and you're comfortable with the 50?
Oh, that'll come in the next hearing. He's going to do an appointment-only business. He's not going to have vehicles on site. He's going to have
The 25-car license is becoming obsolete, and it's going to go down to a 2-car license.
2 cars, yes. When he goes to the new
The
site.
25-car license is being dissolved.
Okay, I'm looking at the site plan, and it's got 50 parking spaces identified, so...
If I may, that's the entire complex.
Okay,
and
I'm
there's
with
multiple
you
businesses.
now, thank you.
I'm sorry, I should have clarified that at the beginning.
Thank
That
you.
does look a little strange.
Thank you very much for clarifying that.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Glad we cleared that up. Anybody else have any questions? Seeing none, motion was to close the public hearing. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, at this time, I move approval on the application from Dean J. Collins, 18 Olson Road, Peabody, Mass. for a special permit to allow for automobile sales in a BR1 zoning district at 258 Newbury Street, Unit B. Peabody, Mass. is filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilors, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Peach,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
Rozignol,
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Moving on, we have item 4D, Class 2 motor vehicle license transfer for DC Trust LLC, 258 Newbury Street. The clerk will now read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, August 24th, 2023, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the application from DC Trust LLC, 258 Newbury Street, Unit B, Peabody, Mass., requesting the transfer of a Class 2 motor vehicle license at said 258 Newbury Street, Unit B, Peabody, Mass. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-mda.gov under calendar on the homepage or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Craig S. Welton, City Council President.
Thank you, Clerk Danforth. Would the petitioner reintroduce yourself and let us know your address and what you'd like to do?
Dean Collins, 18 Olson Road, Peabody. I am transferring my Class 2 used car dealer's license to 258 Newbury Street.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor of this petition? Seeing none, is there anyone on Zoom who'd like to speak in favor? No? Anyone here who'd like to speak in opposition? Anyone on Zoom in opposition? Seeing none, Councilor Gamache.
Yes, thank you. Again, Dean, this is a fairly simple request. You have your hours of operation, if you had alluded to, would be Monday through Friday by appointment, Saturday 10 to 2, for a total of 2 vehicles on the premises?
That is correct.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, I move to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. You heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
This time I move approval on the application from DC Trust LLC, 258 Newbury Street, Unit B, Peabody, Mass. requesting the transfer of Class 2 motor vehicle license at said 252 Newbury Street, Unit B, Peabody, Mass. With the following restricting hours of operation: be Monday through Friday by appointment only, Saturday 10 to 2, no Sunday hours, for a total of 2 vehicles on said permit. So moved.
Thank you, Council Gamache. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
O'Neill, Peach,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
Rozignol,
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Melville, McGinn,
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, councilors. Moving on to item 4E, a Class 2 motor vehicle license transfer for NARSA AMC LLC, doing business as AMC Motors North, 218 Andover Street. The clerk will now read the notice. I've been advised we have a late communication. Would Councilor Daigle like to take that?
Motion to receive?
Thank you, Councilor Daigle. Councilors, you've heard the motion on receiving the late communication. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the clerk, the request, the late communication too, was to reschedule this until August 29th. Would that work with the council schedule? It would. Okay, then I move to continue it until then. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Daigle. On that motion, any discussion? All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Moving on to item 4F, a limousine license for Boston Chauffeur Services Incorporated, 222 Newbury Street. The clerk will now read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, August 24th, 2023, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the application from Boston Chauffeur Services, Inc., 222 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass., requesting a limousine license for the use of 13 vehicles at said 222 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under Calendar on the homepage or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Craig S. Welton, City Council President.
Thank you, Clerk Danforth. Would the petitioner introduce yourself, provide your address, and let us know what you'd like to do?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Mark Kinney, and the business is located at 222 Newbury Street in Peabody, Mass.
Great, thank you very much. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone online who'd like to speak in favor? Seeing none. Anyone here who'd like to speak in opposition? Anybody on Zoom would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Councilor Gamache.
Yeah, it must be my night. I've spoken to Mr. Kinney a couple of times, and we've gone through a lot of the details and trying to get this thing moved forward. Unfortunately, the calendar hasn't been worked too well for us. For those of the councilors that aren't aware of it, he purchased the building from Dean Collins, who was just here previously. Dean had his business there. Now Mr. Kinney is operating a limousine service, and I will say that since he has been there, the place is immaculate and that it is very well kept. His drivers have places to park their vehicles, so there's no overflow at all. And I want to thank him for keeping the property up, as did Mr. Collins while he was there. So I have no further questions for the petitioner. And if there are none, I'd move to close the public hearing. Councilor McGinn.
Councilor McGinn.
Yeah, through you, Councilor Gamache, just, do you want to take in 8L?
Late communication, item 8L, please.
Councilors, you heard the motion regarding the late communication. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gamache. Excuse me, Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say that I had several local residents reach out to me on behalf of Mr. Kinney. Comes very well spoken of, so I obviously support this. I look forward to him operating. Some very respected people let me know that he runs a tremendous show and will do good things in the city of Peabody. With that said, I just had one question for Mr. Kinney. On your property map where it shows your parking spaces, it has numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. I was confused by it. It says display parking. What exactly is display parking?
Sorry, I'm Laura Heshy. I'm the business manager for Boston Chauffeur. So the parking plan that you see was actually graciously provided to us by Dean. This was the original one that didn't have the edit for the display parking. So it was Dean's previous where he would display the vehicles. Since this this plan had been submitted, we did install the handicap parking. And the display parking is where we actually have several of our SUVs.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's all. Just I wasn't sure what that meant, so I appreciate the explanation and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Any other councilors who'd like to speak on this matter? Seeing none, Councilor Gamache.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Councilors, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
At this time, I move the application from Boston Chauffeur Services, Inc., 222 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass., requesting a limousine license for the use of 13 vehicles at said 222 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, councilors. Moving on to item 4G, a special permit for John Roach, manager, Collab Development 1 LLC, 1 Newbury Street, Lot 2. The clerk will now read the notice. Thank you, councilors. Moving on to item 4G, the clerk will now read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as the special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, August 24th, 2023, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the application from John Roach, manager, Collab Dev 1 LLC, 529 Main Street, Boston, Mass., for a special permit to develop an out parcel, proposing to construct a coffee shop with an associated drive-through use in a BR1 zoning district. The project proposes to render impervious surfaces greater than 15% or 2,500 square feet of the lot. A stormwater management infiltration basin is proposed as part of the project to recharge stormwater runoff back into the ground at 1 Newbury Street, Lot 2, shown on Assessors Map 88, Parcel 008X, Peabody, Mass., as filed in accordance with Sections 4.2.5, 6.9.5, 30, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under Calendar on the homepage or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Craig S. Welton, City Council President.
Thank you, Clerk Danforth. Would the petitioner please introduce yourself, let us know your address and what you'd like to do?
Sure. Good evening, council members. My name is Casey Birch. I am a project manager at Soley Engineering. Office is out of 11 Vanderbilt Avenue, Norwood, Massachusetts. I'm here on behalf of Collab Dev 1 LLC to discuss the special permit application submitted to the city back in June, I believe, regarding a coffee shop located at 1 Newbury Street. The applicant is also present tonight if the council members have any questions for him. So let's get started here. Before I get started, I just wanted to let you know that I do have copies of the only one copy of the planning board decision, the ZBA decision, and the city engineer's comment letter validating all of its comments were done. I don't know if it's something I can issue into record now.
If I may, concerning
Councilor
concerning this issue, the city council would have liked to have had all this stuff in front of us so that we understand all the issues that are before us, because there are questions concerning traffic flow, access egress, the way it's going to be situated in the property. We want to also have all those three approvals that were given to you prior to this so that we have it available. And as I tried to explain earlier today, and I think we understand, that I'd like you to go through the entire presentation, show us everything, and then I'm going to ask that, and let the council know that I'm going to ask for a continuance so that we can get those, the planning board, the site plan review, the ZBA, have that come back to us and continue this to Tuesday night. So if there's no objections with that, that's my plan of attack on this one tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilor McGinn.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mr. President, Councilor Gamache, that I think makes a ton of sense, so thank you for laying it out that way. Could you just add to your requests that, I mean, the site plan that we have, I'm glad they're going to give us a presentation tonight, but the site plan that I think we have is this Schedule A thing. It's completely illegible. So if we could get, for when get something that we can actually read.
I would hope that you'd be able to show that plan that you've submitted in your package to us tonight that's a little bit more legible. And I was hoping, and I was going to address that, Council, thank you, to make sure that during your presentation we see everything that's available and everything that was presented to the other boards so that we're all on board. Once we get those communications, I think it would suffice to say that we'd be satisfied once we get them.
And I guess just one other thing, if you would, Councilor Gamache, I don't know if what he's holding up there is the communication from Andrew Levin. We normally get like a cover sheet to the we get something that gives us an interpretation of what happened. So hopefully there's time for that to come along with the actual decision. Yeah, between now and Tuesday, I'm not sure if that's already ready to go. Great, there probably is. We can probably have that, but that communication is generally very helpful. Thank you very much, Councilor Gamache. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, thank you, Councilor McGinn. Thank you, Councilor Gamache, for clarifying that. And I would just like to add to the petitioner, if you could please get this to the clerk's office as soon as possible tomorrow morning so that it can be distributed for us ahead of the meeting.
Yeah, apologies. I thought you guys got a full plan set and everything. I'm pretty sure we submitted that, but I can double check. Apologies.
No, that's fine. And just to clarify too, not just the plan set, but the approval letters and everything.
Right. I apologize that you're looking at a small. It must have been from the agreement that you received. I thought you received a full plan set as well. So again, sorry.
No problem. No problem at all. So you can go forward with your presentation.
Sounds good. Thank you. So the project is located within the existing front parking field of 1 Newberry. The site is currently occupied by the Holiday Inn Hotel and the adjoining restaurant. The property is located in the Regional Business 1 zoning district, as well as the Surface Water Protection District. The project area is situated in the northeast corner of the property, north of the existing hotel. I gotta stay with this, sorry. Access to the lot is off of Route 1, utilizing the existing right-in, right-out that's currently there. Alternative access is off Corporate Place to the north. It's a little rendering we made. It is the intent of the applicant to construct a 2,400 square foot coffee shop with drive-through and outdoor patio area. The drive-through will be located to the north of the existing restaurant, aligned with the existing drive aisle along the building frontage. And the drive-through will include the typical coffee shop appurtenances, such as a bypass lane, menu boards, and order boards. The project does provide approximately 25 parking spaces, 2 of which are ADA compliant spaces. 3 of them will be time-limited curbside parking spaces, and 2 will be mobile order pickup spaces. The project does have a slight increase in impervious area, only 250 square feet. But to mitigate that increase in impervious area, we've provided an infiltration basin. See this darker area in the rendering here? That basin will recharge the runoff associated with the development and provide a much-needed water quality system that the current site lacks today. This is also beneficial considering it's in the city's surface water protection district. The basin was designed to be in compliance with the state and local stormwater management requirements. Our design was also reviewed extensively by the city engineer and a third-party reviewing agent. And all the comments that they had have been addressed during the planning board site plan review process, which was approved in July of 20th, 2023. In accordance with the City of Peabody zoning ordinance, special permit consideration is requested for the following sections of the said ordinance. Section 4.2.5, Schedule of Use Regulations. It is a coffee shop with a drive-through that we are proposing. And because of that, we do require special permit approval from this council. And then section 6.9.530, Surface and Groundwater Protection District. This section states that any use that will render impervious more than 15% or 2,500 square feet of any lot, whichever is greater, requires a special permit in Zone 3. Since we have more than 2,500 square feet of impervious surface, I know it's a total of 250 increase, but in the area there is over 2,500 square feet within the surface water protection district. Which,
if I may, could we take a 1-minute recess to look at the plan a little bit closer?
Sure.
Councilors, you heard the request from Council Gamache. Any discussion on the question? As a motion, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote.
Sure.
have to gather All right, councilors, we're resuming our meeting. Councilor Gamache. I think
I would just assume have him finish this before we ask the questions that were about to be asked. Thank you.
Thank you. If the petitioner could.
Sure. Yeah, I don't have too much more to add, but I did want to go through our approval history for this site this year. And we received approval from the ZBA on June 15th, 2023 for relief of the city's landscape buffers. The project has gone through extensive review with the city planner and third-party reviewing agencies for both proposed stormwater management design and traffic impact assessment. We received a closeout letter from the city engineer on July 19th, 2023, stating that all questions and concerns were answered. And the project received site plan review approval from the planning board on July 20th, 2023. And with that, I'll open up for any questions.
Thank you. Before we open it up for any questions, is there anyone here in favor who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone on Zoom would like to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition of the petition? Anyone on Zoom would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I'll go back to Councilor Gamache, then I'll go to you, Councilor Rosenau.
Yes, thank you. And again, it's very important that we get these to the city. We close tomorrow at noontime, 12:30. What time we close tomorrow? City Hall.
I think to clarify for the clerk from a previous conversation, it needs to go out by 12:30, so she
Okay,
needs it first thing in the morning.
it's got to be in as early tomorrow morning. All these plans that you have that we haven't got.
Okay.
What's that? By 9 o'clock.
By 9 o'clock. Hard copies delivered. How many?
13, is it 13 hard copies that's required? I believe under the rules is 13 hard copies that have to be submitted. Technically 20, but... Huh? Oh, that's very important that you get them in tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Bring them to the clerk's office, and I'll open it up to the rest of the council.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilor Rosenau.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the petitioner. Looking at the plans and through your description where there's not going to be change of egress, once you get onto the property, is there going to be proper signage and traffic flow to get to that new dwelling?
Yes, there will be. Starbucks has a typical traffic flow signs, so those are added to the plans, correct?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Rosenau. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one quick question. I vaguely remember during I believe the planning board, you've made the circle with all the boards in the city, but I believe the planning board, they mentioned that rear parcel where the trucks are depicted. Did you purchase that also, or does that still belong to the Holiday Inn? Or
No, we have an A&R where the property line will be carved out of this, and that has also been endorsed by the planning board.
Okay, they had mentioned the area in the back where they had requested a cleanup, but I know that's not on you. But do you recall that discussion? I just want to know if it ever went anywhere.
No, I do. That piece will be still owned by the current owner. Where we're purchasing the lot 2, it's called in the A&R. I'm sure we can have discussions with the owner to clean that area up.
Yeah, I don't want to obligate you. So I remember it came up, and I remember that they asked you to speak to the owner. So I just wanted to know if it had done, because it's a shame to see this nice new establishment there, and your customers are going to go through that drive-through and see, what's behind there.
Right.
It just doesn't.
I agree.
It's not good. But just wanted to mention that, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the applicant. So that closeout memo that you referenced from the city engineer, is that going to tell us that you've incorporated all the recommendations from the city engineer and the third-party review entity is in those any of those updates are going to be reflected in the plans that you're submitting to the clerk tomorrow morning? Is that?
Correct, yes. That letter has that in there, all that
so
verbiage.
That's pretty black and white from what you, okay. And that review also covered 6.9.5, the surface and ground protection district?
Yes, in regards to the stormwater management design of the area, correct.
It did. So that's all going to be addressed in that memo.
Correct.
And you're telling us that everything that our city engineer is going to indicate, and that we're going to see that they've everything is to their satisfaction with respect to that aspect of zoning as well.
Correct, yes.
And did the third party deal with the traffic flows and all that?
Yes, they actually had two separate third-party reviews, one for the stormwater and another company for the traffic, yes.
Excellent. So it sounds like it was well vetted. Thank you very much to the applicant, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Any other councilors on this matter? Seeing none, Councilor Gamache.
Yes, at this time, I would make sure, and I want to reiterate to the petitioner that these items have to be in at 9 a.m., and the request will be made to our departments, the planning, the site plan review, ZBA, and community development for materials that relate to this, this subject. But I will put a little caveat to that. We may not be able to get them from those departments prior to the packages being complete, so I would recommend that we allow for late communications if the city clerk cannot get those prior to the 12:30 deadline. So I would like to let the council know that that's my plans, that if we can't get those departments to give us that information, they will be here present for the continuation of the meeting. So I would move to continue this until August 29th, which is next Tuesday. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, I'd just like to ask Councilor Gamache, I know that certainly the applicants work through all the other boards. Are we going to be able to get all this stuff done? Why not just have this handled at the first meeting in September? I just offer that up. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just hoping, we've got a lot of things that have to get done. If the applicant can do it, we can get all of it, but I just throw that out. Like, I'm just concerned that we have trouble getting all of the stuff that has to be done through all the city, and then we end up not getting everything. But that's just my thought. Either way, I'm not the applicant. It might make sense to just kick it out in about 2 weeks, but I'll leave that up to you. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. President?
Yes, Councilor Gamache.
Yes, the 9th is fairly, the meeting in September, the first meeting, regular meeting we have in September, is that quite full? Or, I mean, I don't want to have a lengthy meeting, and I think that whatever he's going to give us is just going to be copies of what the department, the approvals that he's got, and then we're just going to get the reassurement from our departments that what he's submitting is correct. You follow what I'm saying? So in other words, he's going to put in tomorrow the ZBA, the planning, the community development, the site plan review of all the conditions that he's already addressed, and all we have to do is make sure we get the communications to back up the information that he's given us. So I'd like to try to move it on Tuesday night if it's possible, if there's no objections to the chair.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I would have no objection to doing it Tuesday night. I think we could just ask the petitioner if, are you sure you can get those plans to the clerk by 9 a.m. tomorrow? Because if you can't, this is all moot. So I guess it's on you.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay, if he commits he can do that, I'm okay with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor O'Neill, are you good? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Like I said, it doesn't matter to me. I just wanted to make sure it was work for everyone. So I understand the process, Councilor Gamache, but I just want to make sure we have everything. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. Any other councilors on this matter? Seeing none, there's a motion on the floor from Councilor Gamache to continue to August 29th. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. We'll see you the 29th.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may, can the council hold 4G's package so that the clerk does not have to resubmit this entire package to us for Tuesday, and only submit to us the stuff that's being introduced tomorrow. I mean, there's a whole pile of stuff here, and I don't want her to be redundant. So if we can hold 4G, if there's no objection from the council, I think that would help Allison quite a bit.
Do you want to make that in the form of a motion,
In the form of a
Councilor? All
motion
right.
to keep items that are presented in 4G for Tuesday night.
Sounds good. Councilors, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a
Thank you.
vote. Don't throw away your stuff. All right, moving on. Before we hop into 4H, I believe we have communication item 8A. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8A, which is a request to continue this hearing to, I believe, the September meeting.
Thank you, Councilor Peach. Councilors, you heard the motion to receive item 8A. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach. We're good. You made it all in one motion. We're good. Okay, thanks. Moving on to reports of committees, legal affair, Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Legal Affairs Committee met earlier this evening. In attendance were committee members, Councilors Melville, McGinn, Councilors Turco, Councilors Peach, Councilor McGinn, and we're also joined by all remaining city councils with the exception of Councilor Minnie, who was unable to attend. First item on the agenda was a request from Peabody Police Chief Tom Griffin for establishment and composition under Articles of the Police Department. Police Chief Griffin appeared before the committee to give us an overview of the request, which is really coming as a result of the Massachusetts Civil Service Commission having a hold on promotional exam, and it's creating, due to 2 vacancies we have in the lieutenant position, we're unable to fill the sergeant's position, and at the end of the day, it's creating overtime challenges. So the request is to have a temporary increase in the current wording of the ordinance to increase the staff of the sergeant positions from 15 to 16. In doing so, this will address what has really become an overtime issue with roughly 15 shifts throughout the month that we have to have a fill-in for this position. So the ordinance, just to clarify, we did discuss, Councilor Turco and Councilor Peach had some great questions. This is a temporary provision. It's supported by the Peabody Police Supervisors Association, and we actually, once again, it will sunset or go back or revert to the position unless the council votes to maintain the 16 positions on or before July 2024. So a co-motion was made by Councilor McGinn and Councilor Turco, and it passed 5-0, and I now bring that forth for the council's full consideration. Move to draft and advertise, be it ordained that Article 2, Section 23-16 of the City Code of Ordinance, a copy of which is attached as Exhibit A hereto, shall be amended as follows. The number of sergeants shall be increased from 15 to 16. The following paragraph shall be added to said provision. Item C, the number of sergeants authorized in paragraph A shall revert to 15 unless the City Council votes to maintain 16 positions on or before July 1st, 2024. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. Councilors, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Gamache. Melville.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you, Councilors. Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. The second item on the agenda was a discussion of a request to consider the construction management risk method of project delivery relating to the proposed new Peabody Police headquarters and public safety building. Purchasing agent Daniel Doucette appeared before the committee and gave us an overview of the two methodologies that are typically used for public buildings. He talked about that the Welch School is, excuse me, the middle school was had used, the Higgins Middle School had used a design build construction, and basically why this came before the committee and now is coming before the council is that the construction market has changed with the supply chain and supply staffing, so it can be very difficult with costs, and it was believed by the advisory committee and the administration, as well as purchasing agent Dan Doucette, who has a number of years experience in this, that this proposed method of building this construction management risk, which CRM I guess is the acronym, it locks it in for a price. It provides more flexibility. While the city might pay a little more for the project, it's really like buying insurance. So that was, he highly recommended that approach, the approach of using the construction manager at risk, CMAR, rather than design build method. So there's lots of good questions about it, and the methodology, and Councilor Turco brought forth a motion which passed the committee 5-0. I'll now bring that forth for the full council's consideration. Excuse me. Be so it ordained that the city council authorize the mayor to enter into a contract for construction management at risk firm for construction manager at risk project delivery method under Mass General Law, Chapter 149 for the city of Peabody, new public safety building with police headquarters. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. Councilors, you've heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
So Turco.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you, councilors. Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. The last item for the committee meeting this evening was the adoption of the Stretch Energy Code. Kurt Belvance from the city's community development department came before the committee and kind of gave an overview. And also, he gave in our package was a memo. I'd like to actually, before I move to receive item 8J, which was received during the hearing, that was a update on all of the efforts that is being done by the city regarding the adoption of the green energy. Did I say it was?
Excuse me, just real quick. You just received item 8J. Can I just get on the
motion, could we refer 8J to the ad hoc committee on energy efficiency and renewable energy?
Councilor O'Neill, you good with that? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
All right.
So moved. Yep.
So moved. Okay, great. On that, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor O'Neill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So with that, he gave an update on the city's efforts, the 5 criteria that the city is trying to meet so we can get, become designated as a green community. The item that, as I mentioned before us earlier this evening, was to adopt the stretch code. Kurt talked about all the grant funding that's going to be, available to the city to help our efforts to reduce energy and make our buildings more efficient, and ultimately get us more costs and help building and making our city more efficient, which is key. And we had a motion from Councilor McGinn and I'll have to read it, but it was a motion to adopt the Stretch Energy Code for the city of Peabody. That motion was approved by the committee 5-0. I'll now read it and bring it forth for the city council's full consideration. Move to draft and advertise Code of the City of Peabody, Mass., an ordinance amending Chapter 7 entitled Stretch Energy Code of the Code of the City of Peabody. Section 1, the Code of the City of Peabody, adopted on January 9th, 1986 and amended, is hereby further amended by creating a new Article 8 entitled Stretch Energy Code, Chapter 7-90, Stretch Energy Code, Section 7-91, Definitions, Section 7-92, Purpose, Section 7-93, Applicability, Section 7-94 Stretch Code, Section 7-91 Definitions, International Energy Conservation Code, IECC. The International Energy Conservation Code, IECC, is a building energy code created by the International Code Council. It is a model code adopted by many state and municipal governments in the United States for the establishment of minimum design and construction requirements for energy efficiency and is updated on a 3-year cycle. The baseline energy conservation requirements of the Mass State Building Code are the IECC with Massachusetts amendments as approved by the Board of Building Regulations and Standards. Stretch Energy Code codified by the combination of 225 CMR 22 and 23, not including the appendices RC and CC. The Stretch Energy Code is a comprehensive set of amendments to the International Energy Conservation Code, IECC, seeking to achieve all life cycle cost-effective energy efficiency in accordance with the Green Communities Act of 2008, as well as to reduce the climate impacts of buildings built to this code. Section 7-92, Purpose. The purpose of 225 CMR 22 and 23 is to provide a more efficient energy alternative to the base energy code applicable to the relevant sections of the building code for both new construction and existing buildings. Section 7-93, Applicability. This code applies to residential and commercial buildings. Section 7-94, Stretch Energy Code. The Stretch Energy Code is codified by the entirety of 225 CMR 22 and 23, including any future additions, amendments, or modification, is hereby incorporated by reference into the City of Peabody General Ordinance, Chapter 7-20. The Stretch Code is enforceable by the Inspector of Buildings or Building Commissioner and effective as of January 1st, 2024. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. Councilors, you've heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Counselor Turco.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Gamache. Yes. Melville.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes my report for the Legal Affairs Committee this evening.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. We're now moving on to motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to ask the DPS as well as PMLP to install a street light at, can't read my own writing, 17 Rockway, 17 Rockway at South Peabody. So moved.
Councilors, you've heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is this is a motion to have a existing slow children sign that exists on Tara Road, which is now faded and illegible, to be replaced by DPS. In that same motion, also install a new children at play sign at the corner of Tara and John Road on Tara Road.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilors, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Also, I'd like to ask that we have the business liaison appear before, we'll say ICD, to discuss the events with Rousselot and where we are in that process, and also the recent sale of the Analogic building at Centennial Drive, as well as some other recent business closes, including, Bertucci's, and any new businesses that he may be working on to take the place of some of these closing businesses, as this will have a direct effect on the revenues of the City of Peabody going forward. So if Councilor Gould, if you wouldn't mind trying to schedule that discussion, surely I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Anything else?
That was a motion.
All right, that was a motion. In the form of a motion, Councilor Gould, anything you want to add to that motion? Are you good?
No, I'm fine on that. Can we schedule a hearing, Al? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Thank you, Councilor Turco. On that motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Turco.
No further motions, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive and approve, subject to all papers being in order. Item 9B, block party permit for Buttonwood Lane between Barrett Road and Fitz Road on September 17th. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Daigle. Councilors, you heard the motion on the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Daigle.
No further motions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Daigle. Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of rules, move to receive item 8G and refer that to Legal Affairs Committee. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. Councilors, you heard the motion on the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of rules, move to receive item 8H and refer that to Legal Affairs Committee. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor O'Neill.
Sorry, Mr. President. Under suspension of rules, move to receive item 8F and refer that to the Committee of the Whole. Just for Council's edification, you all received a big package. Received a big package. This is a long-standing project, and the effort is to have this project it's basically a recodification of the city codes and to eliminate conflicts, inconsistencies, obsolete provisions of the Mass General Law. So it's certainly the whole kitty. We've had a report done by a consultant, a lot of work done on that, but I just wanted to mention that that's been received, but I wanted to refer that to the Committee of the Whole. So moved.
On that motion,
Yes, on that motion, Councilor Gamache.
don't throw them away.
You took the words out of my mouth. Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Any other discussion? Councilor Belleville.
Thank you, Mr. President. The goal of the Committee of the Whole is just to receive this. I assume there's no real edits to be made or anything like that. I just want to make sure everybody's kind of on the same page. This is basically just recodification. Is that correct, Clerk Danforth?
That's correct, Counselor. It's really just a cleanup. It's not the goal of this to change any of the existing ordinances except take out the ones that conflict with state law or are obsolete. Yes, thank you.
Do we feel like we need a Committee of the Whole, or do we want to just? I mean, I'm fine with it. My only thing is the Committee of the Whole. I guess we're just going to be explained that this is the ordinance and then approve it then. And since we can't really edit anything, do we want to just receive it and approve it now, or? I mean, I leave it up to the council. My view on this is there's really no action to be taken other than we've received this back. We had it done. It could be finished. That's just my thought. I'll leave it up to the rest of you. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? I'd be happy to make the motion, or council, you can make the motion to receive and approve.
Thank you, Councilor. Clerk Danforth has something she'd like to add as well.
I can tell you that when I went back to the last time there was a codification, it was received and approved. It was not put into committee. There was no discussion on it. Thank you.
I know the councilor has a motion on the floor if you wanted to amend it, or I'd leave it up to the other councilors. But I'm fine. I'd be comfortable tonight just receiving and approving it.
Through you, Mr. President, I'm okay, I guess, what's the right word? Amending my motion to just move and receive, to accept and receive. Oh, receive, approved. So, Council Melville, do you have the
I have some text if you'd like. We can.
That's perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Make a co-motion. I'll defer to a colleague.
On the motion first, Councilor McGinn.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Council Melville, I agree. There's nothing, this was largely a cleanup effort, but I think before the motion happens, the scope of the cleanup is incredible, really. I mean, it goes back years so I just, the significance of what's getting done here is, I just don't want that to be overlooked. This was a big project. I did take a spin through the draft. If you try to look up some of these ordinances on right now, really what you see online may or may not be correct, because you have to go into the supplements to see if all these other changes took place over the years, and it's pretty daunting. So the fact that we can kind of move quickly, get all that online stuff cleaned up so that we can have a higher level of confidence that when we look at an ordinance online, it's the actual ordinance, I think is a great thing. Yeah. So, so the concern I have, which is I think what Councilor Danforth may have the similar concern, is that we don't start digging this hole again. So I'm hoping that it doesn't need to be part of this motion tonight, but you know, I'm hoping that we can find a process where we can more real time update what is available online versus just kind of putting the motions out there online and then leaving it to the individual that needs to access the information to pull the ordinance and then to try to figure out what all the changes were over the years. So if there's a way we can maybe spend a little money to do that on a, you know, quarterly basis, or, you know, a couple times a year or something, but we should not allow ourselves to dig this hole, create the same issue again. That's my opinion on this. I think it would be, you know, depending on what we find out, maybe we could use the same consultant potentially. I think it would be money well spent, because then we wouldn't have the huge undertaking to do every few years. We could just, you know, take them as they come on a more regular basis. So thank you for indulging me with those comments, and we'll be ready to support your motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Just some procedural clarification from the clerk. We need a motion to first receive the document, and then we'll take the motion to approve. Before we go there, Councilor Turco.
Thank you. Just briefly on the motion, I agree with Councilor Melville completely on that. But prior to, the only question I would have asked in the committee to the whole is, did we find a space for the ordinance employee salaries where there was that conflicting information? So before we print this or agree to this, where are we putting that, where we have an existing ordinance that conflicts with what should be there? I know we approved that and you were working on something, but I don't know whatever happened with it.
So, Councilor, they've taken all of the updates up until, I'd say, March of this year. So anything we've done since March will not be part of this recodification, and I believe that your motion was to Attorney Khan to give us a path forward to do the salary ordinances, and so I don't believe we received a communication back on that yet. So that will not be part of this at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Turco.
So I'd make a motion to receive...
Before we get the motion on the floor already from Councilor O'Neill was to receive. We just need all in favor, any opposed on that. So all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Councilor Melville.
I make a co-motion with Councilor O'Neill. Be it ordered by the City Council of the City of Peabody that an ordinance adopting and enacting a new code for the City of Peabody, Massachusetts, establishing the same, providing for the repeal of certain ordinances not included therein, providing for the manner of amending and supplementing such code, and providing when such code and this ordinance shall become effective, be adopted as advertised and read. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Melville. On this, we're going to do a roll call vote.
Councilors Turco.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Gamache. Melville.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you, Councilors. Thank you, Councilor Melville, for helping clean that up. Councilor O'Neill.
No further motions this evening. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8E and set up a special permit hearing.
Thank you, Councilor Peach. Councilor, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to have DPS place a slow or children sign, whichever one, to make people aware that there are young children playing at this intersection at the corner of Margin Terrace and Adams Ave, going in the direction onto Adams Ave. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Peach. Councilor, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. No further motions this evening.
Thank you, Councilor Peach. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. If anybody has noticed, there's been a number of trees taken down recently, unhealthy trees, rightfully so, and the tree department is working diligently at getting these trees down. According to Brian Grant, there's been about 80 trees that they've taken down, with only 35 on the docket to be replaced. They don't have the money, or it appears as though that we didn't budget correctly to go a one-for-one, 80 trees down, 80 trees newly planted. And I'm wondering if, Councilor Turco, if we could have a hearing to get Mr. Grant in and see what the issue is and see how we can correct it, whether it's a budget issue or a maintenance issue, but in the Public Service Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilor Turco.
Yeah, I would be glad to have that. Actually, it was a great reminder. I'd like to have Mr. Grant before us, because I know the tree department has a daunting amount of work to take that needs to take place. So I would love to have that discussion. And as soon as we can schedule, just let me know.
Thank you. If I could, please, Mr. President.
Yes, Councilor Gould.
By no means am I saying that the tree department is shirking their responsibility. They're working hard every single day. But and I know you weren't implying that. I know you weren't. I just wanted to be understood that I wasn't. But we got to keep up on planting trees. If we don't do that, what are we going to become as a community? So, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilor Gamache on the motion.
Yes, as well as while we're in that committee, if all of you understand that we had the tree department's vehicle down for almost 7 months due to the fire that occurred at the Public Services, and that's why we are so far behind in taking down trees, let alone planting them. I would also suggest that while we're in committee, that we ask either Ms. Davis or Brian to tell us what they will need to take down some of these dead trees, and there are many, many, many of them. I know I've still got a lot of requests in for it, and see if we have to supplement their budget in order for them to hire private contractors to come out and take them down prior to the winter. And I've spoke to Jen, I've spoke to Brian, and I was hoping that they would submit it on their own to, at least Jen submitted on her own. She's on vacation this week. I spoke to her about it when we dedicated the park at the McCarthy School, and I think it's due time that we make sure that all these dangerous dead trees are down before winter, when we have to worry about power lines as well. So add that to what the committee will take up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Councilor Gould. Yeah, what Councilor Gamache mentioned is exactly what I meant. Nothing toward you at all, please. I had a conversation with Brian Grant recently, as I'm sure most of us have, with the amount of trees that need to be removed in the city. It's impossible for him to keep up with that many of them, especially like Councilor Gamache mentioned, with equipment down. At this point, it needs to go to an outside contractor to try to catch up on some of these things before it becomes an issue in the wintertime. So that's exactly what I meant, that this needs to be discussed, and I'm glad it's been brought forward. I probably should have done it myself, but thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. So the motion on the floor from Councilor Gould is to request that Public Services invite both Brian Grant from the Forestry Department and Jen Davis from Parks and Rec Department. On that motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? Excuse me, Councilor Gould.
Mr. Chairman, just so they know, specifically to talk about the number of trees being replaced. That's the main topic.
Thank you, Councilor Gould, for that clarification. So it's regarding the removal and replanting of trees, and a status update regarding if there's a need for a supplemental budget to hire a third-party contractor to keep up with the work. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Gould.
The motions, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilor Rosenau.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 7A, so moved.
Thank you, Councilor Rosenau. Councilor, you heard the motion on the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Rosenau.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to approve all papers being in order. 9A, taxi driver license, Dennis Frey, license number 6, so moved.
Thank you, Councilor Rosenau. Councilor, you heard the motion on the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Rosenau.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive and approve all papers being in order. Utility contractor's license for Daniela Line Service of Mass, Inc., 37 Ayer Road, Littleton, and Ramirez Brothers Landscaping, 53 Commercial Street, Lynn. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Rosenau. Councilor, you heard the motion on the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Rosenau.
No further motions. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Rosenau. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to request a clarification on a motion that was that I made when we were continuing the public hearing for 180 Newbury Street. I inadvertently said, asked that that be continued until the 29th. I spoke with Councilor Kelty, and he also agreed that he didn't want it that quick, and he has asked if we can continue that to the meeting of October 12th. So moved. October, both of them, yeah.
Two special permits.
Two special permits, yes.
Thank
To the 12th.
October 14th, correct?
I thought it was, did you say the 12th earlier to me? Or?
September 14th.
No, I want to go to October.
You want to go to October?
Yes.
October 12th.
October 12th.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilors, you've heard the amended motion from Councilor Gamache. On the motion, any discussion? All in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, at this time, I move under suspension of rules, item 7F, the organizational chart of the City of Peabody Emergency Management Team be received. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilor, you heard the motion on the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
Item 8B, under suspension of the rules, Allison Danforth, City Clerk, 2023, assignment of police officers at polling locations. Move to receive and ask that they be sent to the police department.
Councilor Gamache, would you be willing to amend
Yes,
that motion
I'll
to
move-
receive and approve, and we'll do a roll call vote on that?
Yeah, well, I can make that, the request that the chief of police, the Chief Thomas Griffin assign a minimum of one police officer each polling precinct for the municipal primary to be held on Tuesday, September 12, 2023, general election to be held on Tuesday, November 7, 2023, and all early voting days in 2023 if possible. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilors, you heard the motion on the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco. Daigle.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache.
If I may, under suspension of rules, this is an item that has been warranted for quite a while. And item 10, under unfinished business from the preceding meeting, ready for council adoption, an ordinance amending Chapter 19, creating a new Section 19-48 entitled Car Carrier by Motor Vehicle of the Code of the City of Peabody. It's kind of funny that State Representative Walsh called me yesterday to tell me that there was another vehicle another car carrier unloading, of course, at the Audi dealership on Route 114. And I have gone in there personally and told them not to do it, and it's like, tuh. So I would also send a communication to Captain Richards to inform his department when the calls come in that they expedite these calls to make sure that we can put this to rest. And it's not only 114, it's also Route 1, but make Captain Richards make available to the dispatchers that this is a priority of the City Council, and we have to do something to create a safer environment for our people that drive on Route 114 and Route 1. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilors, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? Oh, excuse me, roll call vote on that one.
Councilors Turco.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you, councilors. Councilor Gamache.
No further motions.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilor Melville.
No motions this evening, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Melville. Councilor McGinn.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7B and refer to finance. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor. You heard the motion from Councilor McGinn. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7C and refer to finance. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Councilors on the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7D and refer to finance. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the suspension of the rules, move to receive and approve item 8C, excuse me. And on the motion, that is the warrant for the primary election, I believe. So we're going to need to sign that before people leave tonight. Yep. So move, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in
We have a
favor,
roll
any
call. Can we
opposed?
get a roll call
Do we have to
on-
roll call that? Sorry. Roll call and sign.
Councilors Turco.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould. Rozignol.
Yes.
Gamache. Melville. McGinn.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you, councilors. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8D and set up a public hearing. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think 8I is still on suspension of the rules. Move to receive item 8I and refer to that hearing. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Councilors, you heard the motion. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. On suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8K and refer to that hearing. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. On the motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. No further motions. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, Councilor Gould.
Sorry, I should have asked this earlier, Mr. President. Through you to the clerk, Allison. Next Tuesday we're here, and then in the first meeting in September, are we at Higgins?
No, Councilor, the first meeting in September, we will be here in the auditorium on the 14th, and then on the 28th, we'll be at the Higgins.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful week.